The police lights painted my front lawn red and blue as I stood barefoot on my porch, holding my phone and wondering how the hell my life had turned into this over a driveway I legally owned. My truck sat sideways across it, engine still warm, exactly where I'd parked it for 10 minutes to unload groceries. And now a neighbor I barely knew stood at the curb, arms crossed, lips curled in a victorious smile like she'd just won a war. It all started with Karen. She moved into our HOA neighborhood about 6 months earlier, and from day one she treated the place like her personal kingdom. Clipboard, rules highlighted, constant, friendly reminders, slipped under doors. Grass too tall by half an inch. Trash cans out 15 minutes late. Porch light the wrong shade of white. Most of us ignored her, assuming she'd burn out. Instead, she escalated. That afternoon, I'd pulled into my driveway after a 12-hour shift. Rain clouds were rolling in, my arms were full, and I parked across the drive for convenience, on my own property. As I carried the last bag inside, I heard heels clicking fast behind me. "You can't do that," she snapped. I turned to see her standing halfway up my driveway like she owned it. "Do what?" "Block the driveway. It's against HOA rules. Emergency access." I laughed, thinking she was joking. "It's my driveway. I'm unloading." She pulled out her phone. "Move it. Now." Something in her tone flipped a switch. "No." Her smile vanished. "Fine. I'm calling the police." I shrugged and went inside. 10 minutes later, sirens. 2 officers walked up while Karen launched into a dramatic speech about obstruction, safety hazards, and how she felt threatened. The officers listened, then asked a simple question. "Is this your driveway, sir?" "Yes." "And your vehicle?" "Yes." They looked at Karen. "Ma'am, this is a civil matter. He's not breaking any laws." Her face went red. "But the HOA, that's not enforceable by police," one officer said flatly. "Please don't misuse emergency services." She sputtered something about filing complaints as they left. I thought that was the end of it. I was wrong. By morning, my phone was blowing up. HOA violation notice. $250 fine. Reason: blocking driveway and obstructing access. I laughed at first, then realized she'd used her position on the HOA compliance committee to fast-track it. That's when I stopped laughing. I requested a hearing. Calm, polite, documented everything. Photos of my property line. Deed records. Time-stamped images. And then I waited. Karen didn't. She went door to door. Told neighbors I was dangerous. Claimed police were watching me. Even suggested I'd threatened her. By evening, someone slipped a note under my door warning me to behave. That night, I couldn't sleep. Not from fear, but from clarity. See, Karen didn't know who she was messing with. I wasn't just a homeowner. I was a real estate attorney who specialized in HOA governance. I'd bought this house specifically because the HOA bylaws were sloppy, outdated, and full of holes big enough to drive a truck through. Literally. At 2 a.m., I pulled up the HOA charter. And there it was. Section 4.12. Any committee member who initiates legal action or government intervention without board approval is subject to immediate suspension pending review. She'd called the police. At 8 a.m., I sent a formal complaint to the board with attached police report numbers, bodycam request confirmations, and the fine dispute. At 9 a.m., I sent certified letters to every board member outlining personal liability for harassment and abuse of authority. By noon, Karen was pounding on my door. "You did this," she hissed. I smiled. "You called the police." She stormed off. At 6 p.m., an emergency HOA meeting was announced. The room was packed. Neighbors I barely knew sat along the walls. Karen sat front and center, arms folded, confidence cracking just slightly. When it was my turn to speak, I stood slowly and laid everything out. Facts, dates, evidence. No emotion, just truth. Then I read the bylaw out loud. The room went silent. The HOA president cleared his throat. "Karen, did you contact law enforcement regarding a personal dispute?" She tried to interrupt. They didn't let her. She admitted it. The vote took less than 2 minutes. She was immediately barred from all HOA committees, fined for misuse of authority, and issued a trespass notice for repeated entry onto private property, including mine. Effective immediately, she was restricted from attending neighborhood events pending further review. 24 hours after calling the police on me, she wasn't allowed to step foot in the very neighborhood she'd tried to control. As people filed out, no one looked at her. Not one. She sat there alone. The next week was quiet. No notes. No threats. No clipboard patrols. My driveway stayed blissfully blocked whenever I felt like it. And the HOA, They rewrote half their rules, this time with legal oversight. Sometimes smart revenge isn't loud. Sometimes it's just knowing the rules better than the person trying to weaponize them. And sometimes, all it takes is letting a Karen make the first call.